All right, welcome to Positive Minds. I am Mind Runner, and with me is my tag team partner, the Positive in Positive Minds, Positive Chris. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself, Mind Runner? Good to see you again on another episode.
Absolutely. I'm actually feeling really good about this. I'm feeling a lot better. Like I'm feeling positive. And a couple shout outs in the chat here. We've got super excited Mr. Ben. He is the coolest, proudest puppy father out there, as well as he is an expert. He is our connection to all our cool sponsors. And of course, my Mulder to my Scully, my good friend Courtney. What's going on? What's going on, Scully? And I also want to say I wish a very, very special happy birthday to my goddess wife, Full Tilt Deb. She turns 35 again today. She continues to turn 35 every single year. So, yes. And she doesn't look a day over 20. She's definitely my 80s goddess.
There you go, Mind Runner. Yeah, happy birthday to Full Tilt Deb for sure. Good to celebrate people's birthdays and celebrate life, man. That's awesome.
Absolutely. All about celebrating life. And I want to say too that one of the things that by the way, I want to just correct everybody. If you're feeling like the time change skipped you or something, we are starting at 11. I know our trailer just said 12, but we're going to be starting at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, 8 p.m. Pacific. We feel like it's a good time. It's also going to be a lead-in, shameless plug, to Mental Health Mondays. My first episode of Season 2 drops immediately after this with none other than internet social media ex-legend Zeke is my guest, and it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about it.
He is a sensational guest. I love Zeke. He reminds me of someone else, but I can't put my finger on it. I've mentioned this before. He has a certain kind of flair about him that I just can't describe. Very charismatic person. Definitely worth checking out your interview with Zeke as soon as we're wrapping up here. So
absolutely, he's like Batman. He is the social media personality we need right now, and I would argue deserve as well. And I know he's very good friends with billionaire benefactor Norwood, who's who like at Norwood Manor down in the southern states, very good friends. So we're excited to hear from him at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. But I'm excited too. This is I really feel good about Positive Minds. We were just going to make this a monthly show, but it might now turn into a every couple weeks show. Who knows?
Let me interrupt you there, brother. This is actually a monthly show because the last episode happened in what month?
True. See, I like
and
what you did
what
there.
month are we in? What month are we in now?
So we are a month away. The last show aired last month. So yes, we are a monthly show. So far, but I have a feeling. Let us know in the chat. Do you want to keep this going a little bit more? I feel like it's a great way to start off the week, get some positive vibes, get some motivation, not just that lobotomized smile motivation, like you can do anything you like, but some real genuine, we got our caffeine. Let's go take names like doctors. We're going to go and we're going to own this stuff. And again, our mission statement here is to get those positive vibes. We're countering all the negativity online, not just social media, but the media itself. Obviously you only get clicks, train wrecks and tragedy is what gets clicks and what gets eyes on your news. So we're combating that. We're going to inject a bunch of positive news into this. Thing. Now, this live stream has officially been brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Thank you, Benjamin. And Courtney says, keep it going. Definitely jump in the chat. Let us know your thoughts. But I feel like, I don't know about you, Chris, we're going to ignite that light. We're going to ignite some positivity. We're taking the war to media, negative media. It's time for some good old-fashioned positive news. All right, we've got some options today. We've actually found several pieces of good news, which is really surprising.
Oh,
That
yeah.
there's a lot of good news out there that's just not getting the coverage it deserves. So I wanted to go ahead and start off with one, and then what we'll do is I'll give you some topics, and we'll even let the chat decide which story they would like to hear about first. So let me share with you really quickly. This first story just really caught my eye. The headline caught my eye. Sea otters get crabs, and I was really interested in what this article is
that's a
about.
pretty provocative statement, Mind Runner.
Well, I may have misread a little bit. I'm dyslexic, so I may have kind of skipped around with some of the.
You forgot your dyslexia pills. I know.
I did. I'm not wearing my dyslexia glasses. Dyslexia is a serious problem. Please get some help if you need some. Talk to your local doctor about dyslexia and see if dyslexia is right for you. We have the title here says sea otters return to a degraded coastline, ate enough crabs to restore the balance and cut erosion by 90%. The big heroes here. Look at this guy, Nom Nom, and he doesn't even have any Old Bay sprinkles for it, and he's already going to town. It's just an inspiring story right here. I think Greta Thunberg would be proud.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I think so. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Are you much of a are you kind of an eco activist, if you will?
Here's the thing, Mind Runner. I find that it's a topic that is loaded, and if I express my opinion, which I'll give it to you right now, it's a complex topic, and I think that we should all do our part. But at the end of the day, it's going to require multiple countries, not just people in our country, to come together. Right? It's more nuanced. There's more color to that conversation than we can probably bring in a 30 to 60 second soundbite. But I am a believer that that we do need to save the world, as the Swedish house mafia has sung about back about what 14, 15 years ago. They sing about saving the world, and it's kind of the truth, man. Like we're all doing our part. If we all do our part and are for a little more, what's the word, intentional about what we do and how we do it, I think that goes a long way. I think it's just about like little bits and pieces. Like you talk about good news here. Some less good news is this whole idea of this Great Pacific Garbage Patch that exists out in the ocean. I didn't even know this existed until about 5 years ago. Apparently, this has existed for a lot longer than 5 years. But it's one of those things where if you don't focus on again your day-to-day interactions, your day-to-day decisions, it's highly unlikely that you're going to have some sort of real positive ecological impact. I'll say
it's the global equivalent of like you're keeping your house clean, but your neighbor's got a broken car in the front lawn and on cinder blocks, and the grass, they never mow the lawn. My mammo, my grandmother, she had these complete. Now, God bless rednecks. We need rednecks in our lives, especially in Florida. But she had this family living right next to her, killing her property value because she had this really nice house. But right next door, they had this stack of bicycles that went to the roof. They had the truck on cinder blocks in the front lawn, covered. The grass was growing around it. They never power washed. Everything was just dirty and run down and ugly. But this is again power of positive thinking. This instead of being mad at them, instead of hating them and being upset. Well, she was upset. She can't help it. Your feelings are your feelings. But she would pray and hope that they would win the lottery so they could move away. So that was the way she put a positive spin on wanting them to get out of there. And she would pray that they would win the lottery. So shout out to my late great Mammo. She's awesome, salt of the earth. But speaking of salt of the earth, I do think it's pretty awesome that we've got the otters are stepping up. Now, granted, I don't know if they're doing this, if they're being activists themselves, but it's kind of cool when you see how nature sometimes does its own activism. It takes action itself. It doesn't wait for these stupid humans to do anything. And I just think this is restoring the otter population achievable without significant effort, unlocking several decades of benefits. So this massive otter migration comes in, and they just start trying. Look at this dude.
It's amazing. He seems very, very pleased with life right now.
He's sitting at like an all-you-can-eat Red Lobster. All he needs is the cheese biscuits, and this dude's in town right there.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge. That's our first bit of news. We've got a second story I want to talk to you guys, and then I'm going to put in the chat. Do you want to hear about the pet detective using a drone, or do you want to find out about Amelia Earhart's plane may have been found? Those are your two options in the chat. Type plane if you want Amelia Earhart, or type drone if you want to hear about pet detective, or just quote anything from Ace Ventura, and we'll do the pet detective.
I'll just say something real quick before we jump into that.
Yeah.
I don't want to sway people's opinions or tilt the balance or tilt the scales in any way, shape, or form, but I do think that Amelia Earhart story is fascinating.
All righty then. I guess that's what we'll have to look at. But yeah, let us know in the chat if you want to go with Amelia Earhart, or if you want to go with Ace Ventura with a drone. Let me know which one you want to go. All right. But in the meantime, speaking of planes, this is a very heartwarming story. And again, just to reiterate to people, just in case you get the wrong idea, we are serious about this show. We have fun. We cut jokes. Yes. We enjoy this. But we truly are here to bring a positive light to things, to share some stories, share some positivity. The levity is part of it. We want you to have a good time. Looks like we got a 50-50 here in the chat, by the way. I see some pet detective and some plane. But I want to share with you about this story. This kind of got me a little choked up. Yeah. Dying aviator gets final tribute with smiley face drawn in the sky over his hospice. This dude has passed away.
Yes.
But this is 66-year-old. Heartwarming story was captured outside a hospice room when family members said farewell to an aviation superfan diagnosed with terminal cancer. 66-year-old was stunned when he was invited outside by hospice staff and told to look up. Of course, that can mean a lot of things. Look up, like, that's where you're going. But his family has arranged for a pilot to draw a smiley face in the sky over Worcestershire, that place.
I can't pronounce it.
Worcestershire, southwest of Birmingham, England. The aerobatic pilot Rich Goodwin skillfully. Well, let us know in the chat. Do you think this is skillfully done, or do you think?
Let me interrupt you here, brother. Yeah. I think that let me hand you over an aircraft, and I'm going to give you a chance to make a smiley face in that aircraft. I guarantee you it would be squiggly lines for me. I would not be able to do that. So I think there's still some skill involved. It may not be abundantly apparent. What you're seeing here is skillful, but I'd argue that there's some skill there.
Well, it's the thought that counts, right? I mean, that's the point of this story. The thought that counts. Let's be honest. He doesn't quite look like he's smiling.
Well, here's the thing. Let's again. The point of the story is that this person got his wish, which was what we're trying to help people see here, is that, even toward the end of days, right? Yes. You can there's still something that to look forward to, right? There are people who are pulling in your direction, people who are fighting for you, people who want to see you enjoy your moments, right? I think that's the beauty of this story, I think.
You're right. And the truth is, the thought does count. And he's probably coming from beyond messing with my camera right now because of he's coming from beyond messing with my camera because of my rudeness. So apologies to everybody. Apologies about that. Anyways, that's great. Yeah. That's great. That's great. So looks like we've got kind of we got pet detective.
It's a good story. I
have no idea what I'm talking about, but I wasn't Ace Ventura. Okay, Hot Takes is chiming in. Thank you, Hot Takes. Jay says pet detective. Courtney says plane, though, and she is Mulder, or she's Scully to my Mulder. So let's see if we can, if we have time.
We'll fit both.
We'll do the Ace Ventura, and then if we have time, we'll jump in with the plane, which they're both very important. I just couldn't decide which one to keep. And worse comes to worse, we could do one of them another time. All right, so getting back to it, let's go. Let's go with the pet detective. Now, this is an inspiring story. This is where technology jumps in and takes over. Because back in the, not even 10 years ago, this could not have happened. But we have a pet detective. Get this, pet detective who's tracked down and reunited over 330 lost dogs with owners for free using thermal imaging. Check this out. Check out this awesome pet detective.
Pretty cool.
And she's all business. Look at her. She is business. What a noble person. She gets our badass of the week award a month. Because this is awesome, and she's got this military grade drone. Is she doing drone strikes? No. Is she spying on her neighbors in the shower? No. What she's doing is she is doing such a good deed. She's reuniting family. Our fur babies are being reunited with their families thanks to this drone technology. What are your thoughts just looking at this so far?
I think it's a beautiful story, Mind Runner. Here's something that I'll add, that there's so much positive news out there, and this is an example of using technology for good. It's worth remembering that, yes, technology has its evil or less fun parts, right? But the reality is that it's like it's about like who's using the tool, right? It's not.
Yes.
If you have a rake can be used to pick up leaves, or it can be used, upside someone's head. And if you have one of those bendable ones, it'll probably hurt a little bit. But the point is that it just depends on who's using the tool and what it's used for, right? So I would caution people to really look at this sort of story and remember that that's the part of technology that can be again, it can imagine imagine if you lost your pup, right, or your dog, and you're like all of a sudden, somebody tells you like weeks or months after the fact, hey, I actually think I found your dog. Like what would that do for you and your heart and in your mental well-being?
That's a Disney movie right there, man.
But she's basically making like real life Disney movies for what, over 300 people. It's amazing, and I think it's an amazing story, and I think people should people should, see stories like this and really appreciate them.
It started, it's so it's not heartbreaking, heartwarming, because she got a drone for a present from her father. She's playing around with it, and then her dad told her that a dog was missing in their local area, and he may have been joking. I looked a little into this, like the dad may have been like, hey, maybe you can use the drone to find it. Well, she went for it, and she called the owner of the missing dog. A schnauzer went missing on a walk, and she went to help him find it, which she did. Word spread, she started using thermal imagery. She's found cats, emus, cows, and helped the mountain rescue locate missing people. She says it's in my nature to help out. So
that's awesome.
If you look, it's just amazing that she's doing this. I do everything for the love of dogs. Imagine not seeing your mom. I think this is in England. Mom for 10 years, and then seeing her, mom's the word, seeing her all of a sudden, it's that feeling. I think this, why are we nominating all these other clowns for Nobel Peace Prize? Why isn't she in contention? This is tremendous. She is like for free. She's not charging money for this. This isn't dronerescue.com. She's doing this for free. Absolutely. In between her DoorDash drives or whatever she's doing. She's out there looking. She's seen large 6 foot. You know what? I've seen large 6 foot men burst into tears. It is priceless. This could be a rabbit hole topic too. Is about the misconception that there's some people look down on them. Pets are family. Pets are family, and when they go, it hurts because you're losing a family member. So she definitely gets our badass. What are your thoughts on our friend here?
I think she's amazing, and it's worth remembering that this can be used to even potentially find Bigfoot. And so I would encourage her to seek out. And again, this is not a rabbit hole topic, but we do want to encourage her to use this for other purposes, right? There were aliens in Miami a few months ago, 2 years ago. She could be used to find those aliens again. She could be used to confirm or deny the flatness of the Earth. She could also help us figure out, again, where Bigfoot is. So I think there's a lot that she has potential for, not just reuniting pet owners, but also, I think, ultimately confirming or denying what exists out there. Because the truth is out there, and I want to believe.
The truth is out there, absolutely. Mulder and Scully agree with you. I think that's tremendous. Of course, you know the haters are going to say CGI and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we don't believe in AI art here. We do natural art. I don't mess with any of the AI art at all.
Just paintbrushes and canvas, because we're basically full Bob Ross fans here. That's all we are.
Yeah, we paint happy trees, definitely. All right, well, let's get to Amelia. This is really cool. This has been one of the longest mysteries, unsolved mysteries for a long time. There's been all kinds of conspiracy theories. And when I say conspiracy theories, I don't like to use it as a negative. I just like to use it as it is what it is. Because there's a lot of conspiracies that are coming true lately, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. Explorers think they have found Amelia Earhart's long-lost airplane after using undersea sonar. So check this out.
Yep.
They're using some undersea sonar, and look at this over here. I don't know if you've seen this. Look at this right here.
That's really it. And that's the thing. I mean, I think that's totally believable, and that could totally be it.
This is the mystery behind the disappearance of Amelia Earhart over the Pacific Ocean has fascinated people for years, but after a recent deep sea sonar survey, some closure to the final chapter of her life may be forthcoming. Now, caution, before you start signing up for the tour to go down in some tiny little submarine to look at it, you let the professionals handle it here. If some billionaire tries to get you to get into a giant Pringles can that he's using to control with a PlayStation controller, don't, because they already did that mess with the Titanic people.
We're not doing that again.
Make sure you're safe. But after 87 years after disappearing in the Pacific Ocean, Deep Sea Vision, that's the company, they are based in Charleston, South Carolina.
Shout out to South Carolina, our South Carolina viewers. Appreciate y'all.
Yep, that's one of our demographics. We're really happy to have aboard with us. And they said some people call it once one of the greatest mysteries of all time. I think it actually is the greatest mystery of all time. Tony Romeo, almost said Tony Romo. That would have been weird if it was Tony Romo. You know, he's in addition.
Totally possible. It's Tony Romo.
Yeah, and it's when the football season's almost over, he's got to invest in some other things. So, I don't know if the background. Are you familiar with the story? Amelia Earhart traveling around the world and getting lost in what they thought was the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, I'm extremely familiar with it. Again, I didn't think this would ever happen, that they'd ever find the aircraft. So I think it's amazing, and I'm excited for this sort of thing. Right? This is I think it's a fantastic story, and one that should give people hope. Right? At the end of the day, these mysteries can be solved. Right? It's I think bringing closure to all of the people who are relatives, right? I mean, the Earhart family, has the legacy has gone on, right? Their family needs closure, and if we can bring closure to their family, to the people who actually are truly interested in this story, I think all of that, there's just so much that is amazing and positive about this. So yeah, I love that, and I love that they think this is it, because that's it's good to have some closure and stories like that.
It sounds like it looks like reports are coming in that James Cameron has already bought the rights to this story. He's going to make it a Titanic sequel. It's going to be called My Earhart Will Go On. Celine Dion is already going to sing the song. So that sounds fantastic. Great news right there. We've covered it all.
I want to ask one question, though.
Yes.
We can get our buddy Hot Takes to sing My Earhart Will Go On. I know he's a big he's big into singing, and he made a video. I want to shout him out. He made a video yesterday about how to make an egg omelet, or I think it was an egg salad sandwich, or something along those lines.
Oh, nice.
Really, really worth watching that video. Shout out Hot_Takes10 on X. The guy, he loves to sing. And he's again one of those people that are worth checking out on X if you have not checked him out yet.
Absolutely, and I'm just amazed too the state-of-the-art technology that he uses to give himself a human body. You know, a lot of people are saying his face is CGI. That's what he really looks like.
That's
you
a
meet
real
the
face.
dude in real life, that's what you're going to see. And it's, I think it's kind of a minor like variant in with it's a DNA variant that just
really
you look like you're from Pixar. But it's his actual face, and it actually is quite endearing. He's one of our favorite people on all social media, and we're happy to have him in our universe. So good news is out there, folks. It's just not being reported, but this is your source for good news. This is exactly where you want to come to for when you want to talk about good news. And of course, there's always going to be trolls out there trying to not just the mainstream media that's trying to bring everybody down just so they can get clicks and make money. But also there's trolls that are not making money. They just want your attention. Trolls out there trying to bring everybody down. But we're not going to stand for it. We're going to talk about some strategies in dealing with these trolls online. It is time to boop. It is time to go down the rabbit hole. All right, Chris, what we got going on? What rabbit hole would you like us to dive down today?
Yeah. So here's the thing. We're going to try to stay on topic, but we all know that lasts for about 30 to 60 seconds. But what I wanted to kind of go down the rabbit hole on is the idea that dealing with trolls is extremely important day to day on social media. But we're in 2024, and this is going to be I would say, highly polarizing, highly. I think there's going to be a lot of controversy as we kind of head towards the end of the year. There's going to be a lot of, I think, vitriol that is going to be spread on social media. And I brought this topic up because I think it's important to know that I saw something actually just yesterday even, where somebody posted something and then it was actually about like their health, right? About like how they had to deal with, I think, a certain, just a health issue that they're trying to go through, or they had to go through. But their profile, they occasionally post things that are, again, a little bit more polarizing or controversial.
Yeah.
And people are like, wait a minute, like you can't ask for sympathy if you're also somebody who has these really polarizing takes. And I think that there's like there's this weird, I think, faction out there online, unfortunately, who feel that they need to chime in on everything. And the thing is, like, I don't understand that. And somebody told me recently, and this is getting a little serious, but I think it's important to share this.
Yeah.
That there sometimes is that need for some sort of recognition that people are struggling with, right? There's a sense that like maybe they feel like they aren't seen in the world, right? But they know that if they say something rude or offensive, they are going to be seen, and that's better than not being seen at all. And I think there's some, again, I'm not a doctor, I don't play one on TV, but I think that there's a lot of I think this is an important topic to discuss, because people, it can be hard to really understand, I think, where people are coming from. And I think dealing with trolls is going to be something that we're going to have to do more and more leading up toward the end of 2024. Just I want to hear your thoughts on that, Mynd.
Well, I want to offer this because I've thought about this a lot, because dealing with trolls, we've had trolls since America Online, since Prodigy, since we've had since there was an internet, and heck, there were trolls in your neighborhood before the internet was a thing. But I want to make a distinction because of what you mentioned, because I think there's a difference between online trolls they're out to troll just to be haters. They want that attention. They want that LOL. getting blocked is like a scalp, what have you. But then there's also, I think there's groups that legitimately feel compelled to believe, to push, like to keep their narrative strong. And it's sad because it's a human nature thing. Tribalism is human nature. Prejudice is human nature. How you handle your own prejudices is what's important. Racism is an action. Racism is an action. Sexism is an action. All these actions are what really matter. But you can't help how you feel. If you feel hot, turn the air conditioning down. But you can't help but feel hot. That kind of thing. But I think that there's one of our, I think it's intrinsic in us as humans to almost find identity in our beliefs. And it's really hard. And this is why in elementary school as a teacher, I push for the scientific investigation. Understand that your hypothesis is not your identity. And a lot of times, and that's kind of gotten lost, even with adults with science. It's gotten lost where, a lot of times they have their conclusion before they really do any testing. It's like, you got to go the other way. You've got to be a servant to the data. And if your hypothesis is wrong, that doesn't mean you're wrong. You've just got to look at the data and say, oh, this is what's true. Now, we can talk about financial incentives, but that's a whole other thing. But that's not what I'm talking about. But there's a massive people online who are so emotionally invested in a certain opinion, especially people that may have been duped by mainstream media one way or another. And there's a certain derangement syndrome that's on both sides. Where there's people that adore this one particular person, and there's people that like rabidly hate this person. And I don't think either one is I think both of them are extremes. There's there's so many missed opportunities for nuance because people are emotionally invested. But once you get committed to an idea, becomes part of your identity, then anything that's contrary, instead of taking it and thinking about it and going, maybe they have a point, you want to shout them out, you want to mute them, you want to block them, and you want to you ridicule them. And what I've noticed a lot of times is very few people want to actually have a discussion. Very few people they don't want to convince you to change your mind. They want to bash you for having a different opinion, because then by bashing you, it nullifies your opinion. It discredits you. So, and now I've always said the first person to insult the speaker and not attack the issue is the first loser.
That's right. Ad hominem attacks are just a sign that you can't really argue something on the merits. You're spot on, Mind Runner. I think it's also worth noting, I think there's a book here. We're not sponsored by these guys, but I've talked about this before, Super Thinking.
Yep.
Big Book of Mental Models. It's one of the most influential books in my life. It talks about kind of how to think about the world. Things like Hanlon's razor are mentioned here, the Eisenhower decision matrix, the 2x2 kind of matrix that people talk about, where it's about if something's urgent and important or not urgent and not important, kind of knowing which quadrant something should go in. Super valuable. So there's a lot of different topics in here. And I think there's this thing called, I think I mentioned this before too, the fundamental attribution bias. It's this idea that we can sometimes assume that somebody is doing something or saying something because it's a flaw in them, right? Fundamentally, they are a flawed person. So that's why they are wrong, because they, and it just, there's something about them. Like they are naturally going to be wrong. And it's like, wait a minute, like there's nothing, like it's not a problem with them. They could have just forgot, right? I mean, something as simple as showing up to a doctor's appointment. Like I had a dentist appointment a few weeks ago, and I forgot to cancel it in time. And so the day of, they're like, hey, just want to make sure you're coming. I'm like, no, I can't make it. But like, and they're not too kind about that. They, I think, charged me a fee, but like, you could choose to, if they, on their end, if they could choose to be upset with me. They could say, oh, well, that person's an idiot, or they can say, you know what, like, he probably had a million things going on. and that's exactly what was going on. It was a whole snowstorm thing that happened a few weeks ago, but.
I have one that I had no excuse for. I just forgot, but this was I was the car sales manager at an office in Fairfield, California, and I was running and I had recently joined the Chamber of Commerce. I'm trying in the city. I was trying to really just get out there and really just kind of advertise, be part of the Chamber of Commerce, and they had this campaign for it was muscular. It's also stuttering people too. That was the other part of the charity, was people like me. It was muscular dystrophy, and they had this thing, and they came. This representative came by, and he was this cute little mousy lady, and she was all like, "Oh, the children, they're so this," and she handed me this brochure, and it's got this cute little girl with a gavel, and she's got all this stuff. And she says, like, here's what we're running this campaign to raise money. And what we're going to do is we're going to come by and we're going to arrest you and take you to jail. What it really is it's just going to be like cocktails, hors d'oeuvres. You're going to hobnob with other Chamber of Commerce people. But what it is that your bail money is going to be set, and then people have to raise money to bail you out of jail. Now, of course, this is probably not the guy anybody wants to bail out of jail. They probably want to keep him. But I got caught up, and I thought, this is great. I was all motivated. And then they said, yeah, it's going to be in a month. And they told me the date, and they said, we're going to come by. Well, car sales, all of us, you're day to day, you're putting out fires, you're exhausted, and, you're training new people. There's staffing issues here and there. And it just so happens the day they showed up to get me, I forgot about it, and I'm understaffed. It's me and just one other guy. I'm actually with a customer when the police show up to take me away. and so I'm sitting there, and the police show up, and I'm thinking, okay, they're just coming by. Oh, they're probably going to ask me some questions about somebody, maybe. And I go, are you Aaron Burden? I'm like, yeah, come with us, please. And I'm like, oh, immediately I remember what it is, but it didn't matter. Every customer in there is like, oh, this place is shady. We're getting out of here. So I had to tell him, I had to explain to him, and I had to apologize profusely that I can't go, I can't leave. And of course, all they see is me telling the cops, like, I can't leave, I gotta work. You can't arrest, oh. And like, people are looking at me to say, I can't leave this little job, and then they leave me alone. Everybody's like, that worked? What is going on?
Yes.
Anyways.
Yes. What I think this is a relevant, since it is a relevant point, but I think we need to highlight two things. One, when we're talking about dealing with trolls, the great, going back to that topic, there was a soundtrack to the Trolls movie, and the original Trolls movie that came out, DreamWorks created it, and there was a single called "Can't Stop the Feeling," right? I think by Justin Timberlake. That's right. Just want to throw out that the greatest Justin ever.
Second greatest. Let's be honest. He's the second greatest. The greatest is just incredible.
Just incredible. Yes. Shout out to what's his name? Is it Paul Polacco? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure I got his name right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, seriously though, Justin Incredible, and then Justin Timberlake, and then every other Justin goes after that.
Yeah.
It's probably appropriate. But also, have you seen the Bridge of Death scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Do you remember? Have you seen that movie? Have you seen that scene?
You must answer me these questions.
We should pull that up for those who haven't seen it or haven't heard of it. It's like quick. Can we get Jamie on the on?
Yeah. Well, please pull it up here, Jamie. Yeah, we've got it. We've got a Jamie here. But yes, I'm very familiar with Monty Python. In fact, that actually was like a bonding movie for a lot of us growing up. It was, so many inside jokes.
I've told that story too, that I've actually done a ton of Monty Python skits in high school. I was part of this this play production group in high school, and I know way too many scenes and skits. I still remember it to this day. So a lot of those. There's the cheese shop one, the argument, you name it. There's a ton of skits. I think there was the Spanish Inquisition. Yeah,
nobody expects a Spanish Inquisition. we probably should have them show up at one point. But here, this is the 3 questions on the bridge.
Let's
Here we
do
go.
it.
Lancelot is the brave. He's the first one to go.
Yeah.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I am not afraid.
What is your name?
My name is Sir Lancelot of Camelot.
What is your quest?
To seek the Holy Grail.
What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Right, off you go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. That's easy.
That's easy.
Well,
Who approaches the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3. The other side he see.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I'm not afraid.
What is your name?
Sir Robin of Camelot.
What is your quest?
To seek the Holy Grail.
What is the capital of Assyria?
I don't know that.
and we can keep going, but that
Yeah.
and then Galahad shows up and he goes and they ask him his favorite color and he goes blue. No, pink. Ah!
Yeah, and then we have the airspeed velocity of a swallow.
Unladen swallow.
Laden swallow, yes.
African or European, and the old man goes, I don't know. Ah!
Yeah.
Classic.
And definitely worth checking out the entire film if you haven't seen it already. Shout out to the Monty Python Flying Circus comedy troupe, and encourage folks to check them out if you haven't already.
That's a classic. But I guess to sum up, to come back into the rabbit hole, to get back in, trolls, don't feed the trolls. Because my favorite thing to do on X is just mute. I don't block. I mute. Because when you block, they know you've blocked them. And that, to them, that's a scalp. And hey, look, I blocked them. Blah, blah, blah. But if you mute, they're just screaming into the wind. And you just move on with your life. Also encourage that when you do the Abraham Lincoln thing for a lot of things, where he would, like when he was pissed off at one of his generals or somebody, he'd write a letter and then put the letter in his desk and then wake up the next morning. If he still felt the same way, he'd send the letter. If not, he would scrap it. And usually he would scrap it. Same thing with some of the tweets. We all know there's tweets we've never posted that we're glad we didn't, or posts now. But if you ever feel like you're getting fired up a troll, first of all, think about this. Really check it. Don't let somebody else have that control over you where they can ruin your day. You know, it's the old Buddhist saying, if somebody insults you, like, what do you do? And the Buddhist says, well, if somebody offers me a gift and I refuse, who's holding the gift? It's the same thing with an insult. Just don't even acknowledge it. Don't even give it a thought, because trolls are not out there to prove any points. They're just there to insult. And the folks that are emotionally invested in their opinions, those are people, they're also not, they're not going to go suddenly, Positively Chris made a good point. I think I'm going to I read something on Twitter X that changed my mind about this whole Gaza thing.
Yeah.
Or this, I used to hate Trump, but now, I used to hate Biden, but they brought a good point. Nobody says that. Nobody makes that decision. Nobody who is strong-willed enough to be able to change their mind and look at nuance is referring to X or any social media platform for their decision making.
I don't think that's right.
And on top of that, before we move on, there's a common trope, and it started with medieval literature, medieval plays, morality plays. They often would create a raging heathen character. And what this character was designed to do is, let's say you wanted to be pro Crocs. Let's say you wanted to celebrate, let's say you wanted to celebrate pineapple on pizza. Your play talks about, we're going to open a restaurant that serves pineapple on pizza. To get the audience on your side, you create a character that specifically that hates pineapple on pizza, but you make them such a despicable, outlandish, very just like irredeemable character, the raging heathen that rages about like, oh, I hate pineapple on pizza and I pick my nose and fart. That that you make that character, and then nobody wants to be like, well, I don't like pineapple on pizza, but I don't want to be associated with this clown. So that's a common tactic that a lot of news programs do. A lot like Piers Morgan has some dude that he hires to come on just to be an idiot, just to take the other side of an issue. And this guy always gets dunked on. I remember I don't watch Piers Morgan, but you see clips like will pop up in your feed. And I kept remembering, like, there's that clowning. And why does this guy keep coming back on this dude's show every time he looks like an idiot? Crossfire used to do this. And like the Hannity guy used to do this. All these news programs, they'd have one guy that had the opposite opinion and they would just get dunked on. The View does this. They have that. They always have one, like they're very left leaning, and they always have that one right leaning person, like the girl from Survivor, and they just try to dunk on them. And all that is just designed to make them look better. It's the old thing, like in the writer's block. Shout out to writer's block, Stephanie and Heidi, and Mod to Severe. If a hero only looks as good as in contrast to the villain that they're taking on, and it's the same thing. It's like if you create this villain, then that makes you look better. And a lot of times people project that raging heathen onto people because they want to group you in with those people.
I think you're right. Yeah. Before we wrap, I do, or on that part of that segment, I think it's important to remember again the Abraham Lincoln quote about, and you talked about this too. Two things, right? The first, that quote is better to be thought a fool, right? Better to be silent and be thought a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. Yes. It's a famous Abraham Lincoln quote, and it's worth just kind of remembering. Like sometimes it's better just to scroll past and move on. Right. And I'm with you on the fact that if you looked at my drafts folder on X, you would probably like it's enough to make a sailor blush. Like the stuff that I've typed in there that I have not sent, it's I mean, I would not show that to anyone. I mean, even if you paid me like $1 million, I don't think I can show people my drafts because it's so. The things I've wanted to say but have chosen not to, you just it kind of makes me uncomfortable even talking about it because of how awful it is. But like the thing is that's a sign I think of that kind of there's a divide between when you hear something and then you form your opinion and then you let out your thought on it, right? There's this gap between the input and then your kind of output of your next phrase or statement or sentence, and typing up some of this stuff and then being like, you know what, I'm not going to send this out. I feel better just having put it in print, right? Or it's there. Yeah. Feels like I typed it out. It's almost like writing it in a journal, right? Like in the same kind of context, you write in a journal.
This mother father. Yeah.
And then, exactly. Mother, father. Exactly. That's how I do it every time. And because then it doesn't get flagged by autocorrect. Yeah. Because then it becomes mother forker, which is also kind of weird. But the point being that you want to make sure that you get that there has to be that outlet to kind of let out that energy, but it can just be in your drafts folder and nobody's the wiser. So just suggesting that as a potential alternative to actually letting out some of that aggression on the public timeline, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think you're absolutely correct. And it is therapeutic to just get it out there. It's like your own venting kind of thing. And then, and also sometimes I look back at things I almost responded to. And then there's times I actually hit send and I'm like, man, why did I even step in that stuff? It never, whenever I post something out of emotion, it never goes well. It never, I always feel embarrassed. Like, why did I say that? And then the flip side. So this might be a cool topic to bring up next time too, is just kind of like, for forgiveness too, because sometimes you like being able to change your mind. I think we do we do way too much othering to each other. And we need to be a little bit more, we need to really just focus on a lot more of what we have in common than our differences. So now we aren't licensed psychologists. We are just people that have lived life. But I do feel like our community, not just the two of us, but everybody in the chat, everybody. Oh yeah, we are. This is a collective experience. Is part of you. They call it common sense for a reason, because it's all of us together with a positive focus on helping each other. And that's why we love this next section that's dedicated to helping those of you, our listeners, those of you that are out there that would like some advice, some non-doctor, uncertified, but just certified in life,
Unlicensed.
some advice, unlicensed. So, without further ado, it's time for your DMs and emails. Yeah, little flock of seagulls.
Impressive, yeah, man. There's a Vice City vibes from that from the video. Appreciate the you're making me look a lot better on that video than I didn't realize. So appreciate that.
Now the question is, which one of us is Crockett? Which one of us is Tubbs?
I guess I'm
Tubbs. I gotta be Tubbs.
You're Tubbs and I'm Crockett. That's fine. Yep. I'll take it.
Yeah,
but let's do this, man. Yeah, I know you have at least one potential email to kind of go over, so let's do it.
I've got one, and I hope it doesn't take up the whole time, but I do have one that I want to share.
Let's do it. It's okay.
And I've converted it to a Google Doc, but just and I've left. I changed the name to protect the innocent here.
Zoom in on that too.
Here, I'm gonna change the font size too. I'm gonna go 36.
There you go. Perfect.
Pretty much. Is that good? Okay. That's fine. Gang. Love the show. I recently went into business with my best friend from high school. We've known each other for years and have always gotten along. During the pandemic, we were both laid off from our respective jobs. I was a teacher. He worked in sales. Things started out awesome, but lately he's been kind of a dillweed about the business. I think I changed dillweed. There was something else there. He blows off meetings and doesn't respond to customer issues, but is quick to tell me what to do as if I'm his employee. We have grown our business to the point we have several employees working for us, and they all think he's a primetime a-hole. There were more explicitives in there too, but I've edited. I have to agree that he sucks as a business partner. How do I essentially fire him without losing the friendship? Signed, Gus Silly Pants Jackson. What are your thoughts? What is your advice to Gus there, buddy?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's a conversation that needs to be had about kind of the lines between friendship, right? Like the personal and the professional, and the reality is that when you blur the lines, there are things that make it more of a challenge to keep that friendship in the state that it was in, especially when you introduce things like money, right? You introduce money into a friendship like that. You run the risk of, and I think they probably should, if they didn't already have this conversation, they should have discussed it. But if not, they should discuss it now. The fact that business is never personal, right? It should not be treated as a personal attack. It's just the reality is, I think that the boss needs to, or the one who feels like he's doing more of the work, needs to kind of have this conversation and be like, look, I think you're an awesome friend. I don't know if this is entirely working out, but I think at the end of the day, before you even get there, you need to know what's going on, right? Like what's going on in that person's life. It's kind of like what we talked about earlier today. Like, yeah, you can have a conversation and kind of consider, getting rid of that person. But like, first off, figure out what the heck's going on in their world, in their life, because it's possible that they're dealing with something like maybe they lost their dog and they need somebody with a drone to come rescue their puppy. Like there are things that like could have been going on, and I feel like there's another side to this conversation that we're not seeing. But my suggestion would be to just start a dialogue, right? And don't give up on your friend Gus. I feel like Mr. Silly Pants, you have a lot of it sounds like the business is doing well, and you don't want to lose the friendship, right? And you just want to make sure that you're lighting a fire under that other person's tail, so to speak.
I think you're absolutely right. I think there's probably more to the story. He might just be depressed about Pluto. I mean, did you hear about Pluto?
The puppy dog or the planet?
The planet. You hear about the planet?
No, tell me more.
Well, they no longer count it as a planet. There's now only
dwarf
8
planet.
planets.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's messed up, isn't it?
Yeah,
Messed up.
I'm heartbroken right now, Mind. You
Yeah.
see my face, like I'm in tears.
It's taken me a while. So that could be one of it. It could be a number of things. I've actually seen several. I've even been involved in several situations where you find out there's more to the story. I think that part of it could be if he's your friend, there's probably something going on. It may be something else. It could be something going on in his personal life, something outside, and it's probably something he's either embarrassed to tell you about, doesn't want to tell you about, or just he's trying to deal with it he's trying to stay with you out of loyalty. He's probably trying to burn candles at both ends, and he may even resent having to do the job with you now because of the other things going on in his life. And I've even found sometimes it could be maybe he's got some self-doubt or some imposter syndrome, or feels a little intimidated. There's a number of things. He could be intimidated by the growth of your business. There's some people that actually have that fear of success. In fact, that's what you could do down the line is talk about, sometimes fear of failure isn't as bad as fear of success. There's people that are afraid of becoming successful and then screwing it up. So there's a number of things, but I think it starts with a heart to heart. You got to just pull them aside. But kind of like it's what Stephanie from King Ari Press said in one of our Mental Health Mondays. She talks about the difference between kindness, niceness, and rudeness. Now, rudeness we're all pretty sure about, but there's a difference between kindness and niceness. And niceness is you see somebody with a booger in their nose and you ignore the booger and you just talk to them. Kindness is putting them aside and saying, dude, you've got a booger in your nose.
Got a boogie right there. Yeah,
it's right there. Let's get it. So I think this is a moment where you got to be kind to your business partner. He is your business partner. You got to let him know, hey, this is not cool. This is a problem, and this is the feedback I'm getting. But before you hit him with that, say, hey, what's going on?
That's right.
You've got to be both kind. You got to remind him that, hey, I want this to work. I want it to be successful.
That's right.
And remind him it's your friendship, but then you got to tell him this, but this can't happen.
Yeah, the empathy needs to be there, Myron. Yes. And I think you're spot on.
I think that needs to be addressed. I feel bad because a lot of times friendships go sour. Heck, definitely there's been a lot of relationships and divorce have happened when couples go into business with each other, and that could really destroy a relationship because you approach it differently. Like your business relationships are not, shouldn't be, and then you also got to be careful dating someone at work. That's why that stuff can happen. It's tough, but you got to have that. You got to have that. Hey, bro, what's going on? Conversation and find out what's going on.
Step one is having that conversation, understanding what the context is, and getting the full picture. Once you understand the full picture, then you can kind of make your next decision based on the information that's made available at that time.
Absolutely. We're just about out of time. I don't know if we have time for another DM or email. Do you have one real quick? Or
no, but let's just roll over to the fortune cookie. Let's make sure we wrap up. I think it's important to get ourselves out of here on time so you can have your Zeke thing. Let's do it.
Absolutely. All right, time for the fortune cookie takeaway. All right, my fortune cookie takeaway is really quick. It was actually the one I was going to do last week. But if you go back and listen to my episode talking about Dr. Poppy Gibson, we talk about putting on your oxygen mask first. And I think that's huge. And it kind of fits with what you were talking about last time, is you've got to make sure that you take care of yourself. In order for you to be able to take care of others, make sure you are healthy. You are 100%. Because the last thing you're going to let everybody down if you burn yourself out. So, yeah, exactly. See, and my point is it's so powerful that it would even just like the Ignite That Light was just so excited it fainted at how awesome it was. And I think we already overstimulated your Ignite That Light sign with those very sexy 80s pictures of us. And now
it was impressive. I appreciate you sharing that, Minor. No, you're spot on with that, man. Like, it's oxygen mask. You need to put yours on first so we can help others.
Yep.
It's the importance of self-care is involved in that as well. And our good friends, Champagne's Brain, Amber Champagne, talks about self-care, and it's so important to really highlight that. But we also want to talk about the and my takeaway, I think, is also kind of related, but it's the idea that like you need to look forward, right? Look ahead to the future. Try not to face the backwards, because you're not really going that direction. And I think Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, or a good friend of the pod, Longfellow, said, "Look not mournfully into the past; it comes not back again. Wisely improve the present; it is thine. Go forth to meet the shadowy future without fear and with a manly heart." Again, you can change the wording there at the end. I don't think it needs to be necessarily manly, but I think he just means a heart full of, I think he means courage, I think is kind of, he said without fear. But yeah, a good friend of the pod, Longfellow, excellent human being, lots of positive concepts that he's written about in the past.
Yeah, I find myself, this is something that I vowed, this is a non-official New Year's resolution, is for me to stop being upset with things I've done in the past, especially like stuff I did when I was a kid. Like sometimes I'll think about some stupid thing I said in the middle of a group of people, or some stupid thing I did and got in trouble, and I just go, why did I do that? Why did I say that? What an idiot. And I mean, not only was that a long time ago, but also in a way shaped who I am now. So, but I think it's important to learn from your mistakes, learn from the past, but you're not going back in time. There's no Doc Brown with a DeLorean for you. You're going forward. You got to look forward. And I think live in the moment, but eyes forward. You know what I mean? Like live in the moment now, but your eyes got to be forward. Like, okay, what's next? What's coming down the pike? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. Yeah, no, this has been great conversation. I love these conversations. Positive Minds. We'll be back again soon. Again, this is Positively Chris, your co-host here, Mind Runner, the always amazing and very, very inspirational Mind Runner here. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll talk again soon.
Yep. And coming up in, it might be a few minutes, but look soon for the Mental Health Mondays debut of season 2. My chat with, it's like my dinner with Andre, my breakfast with Blassie, my
Same
chat
thing
with Zeke. See you guys later.
God.